Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's showcase. We're going to be talking about innovations in residential and CNI BESS with Patrick and David from GoodWe. They're going to be telling us all the latest innovations we need to know about with regards to storage technologies. You know, it's a really hot topic for us right now in Africa. Enabling a lot of systems which were previously not necessarily possible, both financially or technically. I would like to welcome our first speaker, introduce him. This is Patrick Osiemo. He's the technical pre-sales engineer at GoodWe, supporting the sub-Saharan region. He's been working in the sector now for 5 years, and is really passionate about electric circuitry design, but at the same time also like an avid basketball player. And he's calling us today from Kenya. This is also where he got his degree, a bachelor in engineering from the Technical University of Kenya. Patrick, thank you so much for joining us today. I will give you the controls in just a few moments. Before this, let me also introduce our second representative of GoodWe, David. David is calling us from South Africa. He's actually the technical manager for Southern Africa at GoodWe. He's been in this role now for the last 5 years. Before this, he's been working with other pretty important companies in our industry, Sidian Solar Academy for Sub-Saharan Africa. He's really our troubleshooting and product expert on the call today. So please prepare your technical questions, all the problems that you've been facing with your project so far. With a bit of luck, David and Patrick will be able to guide you through and find some solutions for you. This is it for the introduction. Patrick, I will now hand over the controls to you. Over to you, Patrick.
Okay, thank you, John. Hello, everyone. Pleasure to have you in attendance for the GoodWe AFCIA webinar, which will be showcasing and providing an in-depth explanation of the technical solution that GoodWe offers as actually Africa journeys toward a smart energy future. So with me is David Havinga, who is the technical manager for the Middle East and Africa, and I, Patrick Osiemo, who is your technical pre-sales support for the Sub-Saharan Africa. Now, the renewable energy sector in Africa has vastly grown, developed, and with it, the demand for top-notch technology and service provision is now on top priority. And GoodWe has actually been with Africa in this technological development with localized support in various sectors. We have local pre-sales, sales, after sales, all established locally to provide an African-centric product well suited for the unique market that we have. Now, this brings us to the objective of this webinar, which is to highlight GoodWe's company profile with a focus on the available residential and C&I hybrid solutions. To begin with, first I will discuss what actually GoodWe is. So what is GoodWe and what does GoodWe offer in terms of product and service? So GoodWe is an inverter and battery manufacturing company whose core vision and mission is to focus on driving the world towards the smart energy solution for a sustainable energy future. So as you can see, since 2010, when GoodWe was established, the impact of GoodWe in providing smart technological solutions and service has been gradually accepted across the globe, from the Asian market, European market, African market, and to the Americas. GoodWe has been establishing local and overseas manufacturing, repair, service support station across the globe. This growth has only been possible given GoodWe's dedication to stringent measures in providing quality products and service and winning awards, various awards such as being #1 global hybrid inverter supplier and being recognized by NDV as a bankable brand for its quality and reliability. Such an achievement in growth is a courtesy of GoodWe's quality production and service support, garnering various awards from a number of internationally recognized certifying bodies. You can see we have awards from Wood Mackenzie, Bloomberg, EcoVadis, two Rainlands, just to mention a few. And from all these awards, we are present globally, vastly in the globe. Evidently, GoodWe has subsidiaries, sales and service centers across the globe. You can see from the footprints or the footholds that we have in the presentation right before you. This is quite a good number, and R&D also, this is actually spreads across. So the R&D and production facilities also with quite a good number in the globe. The production is high. You can see we have a sky high 35 gigawatt capability of inverter production with 2.1 gigawatt hour of battery production capacity without compromise on quality. Apart from that, GoodWe has a record 71.2 gigawatts accumulation of GoodWe installed systems. And this holds the smallest 700 watt to 350 kilowatt inverter series. GoodWe began as a residential inverter supplier, and you can see a notable 30.4 gigawatt on-grid inverter capacity installed, while we have 5.5 gigawatts on hybrid inverters. The C&I sector holds a 27.5 gigawatt portion, while the 7.8 gigawatt is strictly utility scale installations. The uniqueness of every market is what brings about the broad GoodWe portfolio. You can see we have products ranging from 700 watts to 350 kilowatts. These are inverter sizes. We cover the residential market, we have covered the C&I, we cover the utility sector, and most importantly, GoodWe provide turnkey solutions such as smart home solutions, hooked to EV chargers, and building integrated PV panels with local remote monitoring software. Now, this webinar will focus on the GoodWe energy inverters, storage inverters, and the lithium batteries in this sense. Now, the appearance of GoodWe products is what we marvel in, and it has always been a pleasure to showcase the GoodWe products during the expos and exhibitions. For example, we were in Tasola Europe, Solar and Storage Africa, Power and Energy Expo, and such Intersolar or such expos. But if you didn't have a chance to visit us in our booths, to view our products, well, now is the time. So what you see right now is how our products look like. From our 700 watts, which is A4 size, to the biggest 350 kilowatt inverter. We have EV chargers, we have BIPV panels. You can see all of them are elegant, compact, powerful, and do pack quality with them. Now, I will begin with the first portion of this webinar, which is the residential hybrid solution. So what does GoodWe offer in terms of the latest hybrid solution in the residential sector? Now, what you see before you is one of our products called the ES Unique. The power range is 8 to 12 kilowatt. This is a single phase hybrid inverter that is compact and elegant, capable of achieving 240 amps battery current. A one-stop solution with a CT clamp and many more accessories included in the inverter package. ES Unique is compatible with the GoodWe latest indoor battery called the Lynx U and the Lynx A lithium-ion batteries, and can be used to retrofit installation that still have lead-acid batteries installed. So it's also compatible with lead-acid batteries. So the ES Unique has a dedicated generator port to integrate AC generators to the hybrid AC generators to the hybrid party. Actually, it's a hybrid inverter, and is capable of oversizing the DC PV module capacity to 200% of the inverter rating. So, and the backup, if the backup loads has a surge, if the backup loads have surge profiles, well, this is no issue because the ES Unique can handle double its rating in terms of load power surges. ES Unique is a turnkey solution. So GoodWe is focusing on turnkey solution, and turnkey solution is the GoodWe business. And when you purchase the ES Unique, you get the inverter mounting plate, you get lugs, you get bolts, you get communication cables, temperature sensors for the lead acid batteries, that is. You get a clamp CT, communication modules, and many more accessories. This is a complete package that is very ready for installation. Technology is trending towards miniaturization. Now, ES Unique is a marvel of power, and it's quite compact in sizing. It's easy to mount, as you can see before you, and it's a mix of warm white, terms of color, with a bit of black coloring. ES Unique is a hybrid inverter with high quality and reliability. It does make use of a screenless display. You can see we have LEDs mounted at the front to be used for status indication. It comes with a pressure regulation valve for the indoor-outdoor capability installation, AC and DC disconnection switches, smart cooling fans, a number of MPPTs. It comes with the plug-and-play accessories, and this is a hybrid inverter with features of integrating with it has a dedicated AC generator port to give you, which gives a glimpse of, this actually gives a glimpse of the diverse working modes that the ES Unique is capable of. Technically, let's dive a bit in terms of technical parameters. ES Unique is compatible with 48 volts low voltage battery systems. It comes with a wide battery voltage range, 40 to 60 volts, compatible with lead acid batteries and various approved lithium-ion batteries, and can charge and discharge at respective inverter ratings. You can see we have charging at 8, 10, and 12 kilowatts. As for the PV side, the module connection ports, you can oversize up to a maximum 200%. Noting that the string voltage, input voltage is rated at a maximum 600 volts, so big string lines. ES Unique has a number of MPPTs, and the startup is quite early. So by early morning, as long as any string reaches 58 volts, the generation begins. The inverter starts up, and the generation begins once the voltage clocks 60, and still continues to the late evening as long as any of the strings has a voltage of 60 volts and above. This allows you to achieve maximum generation for faster return on your investments. String oversizing capability does come with the benefits. You can see we have a 10% overload feature at the AC output. This is visible for these inverter series. For example, the 8 kilowatt, you get 8.8, you get 11 for the second series, you get 13.2 kilowatt AC output. And the grid varying AC voltage should not be troublesome for the ES Unique because it comes with the varying order from 170 to 280 volts, which is configurable. As well, you can see the frequency is configurable, can handle between 45 hertz to 55 hertz for the African market, and for other markets, it's 55 to 65 frequency, grid frequency. The powerful backup technology used on ES Unique is quite unique. The inverter is capable of handling 2 times the nominal power for a maximum of 10 seconds during the backup state. This duration is actually important and does work fine for the inductive loads for their startup time for the inrush current, that is. This feature allows you to back up a full house backup capability because it does supply high current and it's capable of supplying, it does supply stable frequency with less than 3% harmonic distortion on your AC lines. So it's quite unique. The uniqueness of ES Unique does match the uniqueness of Africa. And what we focus on is that we try to integrate total off-grid, or you might say microgrid possibility. So the ES Unique as I mentioned before, comes with a dedicated AC cable generator port, allowing you to integrate the diesel generator. So depending on the inverter sizing, you get 11 kVA up to 12 kVA generator connection, sizing connections. And do know that this is configurable for a wide range of AC voltage and AC frequency of the generator. So this is very crucial for generator integration with the different sizes of the generator we have. All the features of the ES unit are comfortably summed up in this system diagram. A hybrid inverter capable of connecting PV strings, batteries, grid line AC cables, local backup AC cables with diesel generator port connection. All these with the additional with the zero export limitation. The export value actually is configurable to meet local allowable net metering value. So if you have countries that are actually trying to take in the net metering grid profile, then this is configurable to you. The smartness of ES Unique is seamless, and with the integration of the diesel generator, you get an automatic start. You get to automatically start or stop your generator. You can determine the operation duration or schedule of the generator connected. Apart from that, you can customize according to the generator size you're connecting to the inverter. So yeah, just taking note of the maximum allowable connection or sizing of the generator. If you've done any installation with the ES Unique single piece, but then future scaling up is possible for designers because you can parallel up to a maximum 16 pieces of ES Unique in a single system. This is a master slave topology. Note that the UPS level switching is for the 3 installed pieces and less. Pieces for numbers 4 up to 16, 4 and above. These will achieve the EPS level switching. This diagram is an option for a centralized storage installation. If you prefer decentralized storage installation, then the second display is what you will take. So this is another option, each inverter with its own independent battery bank, which actually shows the flexibility of ES Unique. Now, apart from that, these are some of the batteries that are compatible with the ES Unique. We have Lynx U, which is an indoor-outdoor IP65, and we have Lynx A battery, which is an typically indoor battery. And apart from that, the inverter ES Unique is compatible with lead-acid batteries. Now that sums up the hybrid inverter, residential hybrid inverter that we have. And on to the next, I will be showcasing the lithium-ion battery that works for residential homes. So the Lynx A Generation 3 is as flexible as ES Unique. It actually brings, it is a low voltage battery, indoor rated IP20, 5 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery module, can be scaled up from 5 kilowatt hour all the way to 150 kilowatt hour. It's also stackable, can be stacked in cabinets, can be stacked using brackets, or can be wall mounted. Notably, this generation 3 version is a 1.5C rated. So apart from that, the battery is easy to remotely diagnose and remotely update its software functioning. Each Lynx A Generation 3 module has an inbuilt BMS. This brings about an added, apart from that, there is an added dry contact integrated with each battery for smart operation. The battery is compact in size, easy for indoor installation. It's fitted with LED technology for state of charge and other status monitoring. It uses the robust CAN communication protocol to communicate between the batteries and to the inverter itself. So particularly the ES Unique in this case. Now, apart from that, we dive into the data sheet, a brief showcasing of the data sheet. Notably, I will be brief on this. We have a 1.5C rated battery, low voltage, so 51.2 nominal voltage. The battery is powerful, Lynx A is powerful. Now, a single battery can do a nominal discharge of 60 amps. But then if you want to make use of the C rating, a single battery can output a maximum of 150 amperes continuously. But then there's another higher step. So the battery can produce 200 amps at impulses of 30-second duration. That's how robust the battery is. This is how the battery can achieve a minimum 5 kilowatts fully charged to a maximum of 7.3 kilowatt power discharge. All these state of operation are communicated securely to each battery BMS using the CAN protocol. And the battery is a high power battery, comfortable to reach a life cycle of 6,000 or more, depending on the usage. This slide actually displays how links A can be stacked vertically. Now, the stacking up, you can see you do have a weight restriction of up to 6 pieces, but the total you can do in a bank is up to 15 pieces. So if I may move forward, now you can see these batteries are actually stacked more. So we have this about 11 pieces to 12, minimum 12 pieces. The battery module can be stacked in under 12 pieces. GoodWe does offer a combiner box, which is recommended to be used. Importantly, do note the technique that we are displaying in this wiring. The batteries are grouped in twos, primary twos. This allows balanced charging and discharging. And in this sense, you'll be getting or fully utilizing the long life cycle of the battery. Once the installation of the battery surpasses the 12 pieces, because you can do a maximum bank of 15 pieces, then this connection is actually recommending you do a bus bar connection to hook in the inverter to the bus bar. ES Unique hybrid inverter and the Lynx lithium ion is the choice of residential installation. And this actually sums up what GoodWe offers lately, the latest development on GoodWe in the residential hybrid solution. Now, I will be handing over to David, who will be taking you through the latest GoodWe C&I hybrid solution.
Perfect. So I'll be going through our C&I hybrid solutions. So yeah, we're going to be focusing on our new ET40 and 50 series. So this is a newly launched product, the ET40 and 50, and I think in some countries our distributors might only stock the 50 kilowatts, since they are so close in size. So it is a 3-phase full hybrid inverter. It is compatible with the 182 or 210 millimeter wafers, so much higher current powered modules. It does have a big overloading capacity. For off-grid and backup operation, we do have an extra component called the STS. The 50 kilowatt has 4 MPPTs with 8 strings, and it's compatible with our Link C indoor and outdoor batteries. So as with all of our products, we have the same white metallic color on them. You'll see this unit is very compact for a 40 or 50 kilowatt device. Below we can see as an example of a 40 kilowatt unit. So the 40 kilowatt has 3 MPPTs, where the 50 will have 4 MPPTs. We also have one singular battery connection on the device. We have our multi-port connector for our parallel, as well as a bunch of other features in the inverter, and then all of our COM ports. And you'll notice one singular AC connection port on the device. So looking at some of the data, so we only supported lithium batteries, so it is high voltage batteries only, and only batteries in our supported list will work with these devices. So we have a nominal battery voltage range of 500 volts, so from 200 to 800 volts, limited to 100 amps. So that's why in order for us to get the full capacity of the device, we do need a higher voltage on the batteries, thus the nominal volts of 500. You'll see we do support a continuous charge and discharge power of 10% higher than the inverter's rating, so on the 50-55 kilowatts. And that's both for charging and discharging. Yet again, yeah, we also have our 50% oversizing on our DC side. So for all of our hybrid inverters, that is usable DC. So you can oversize it and use that DC for both charging and AC at the same time. The operating voltage is also quite wide on these units, so 165 to 850, where the nominal range is 400 volts to 850 volts. So the ET can also be used as purely an on-grid inverter as well. So you can put PV on it and batteries on it just for self-consumption. You can even use it just for self-consumption, even without batteries. Then our nominal voltage will have to be higher, as in the 400 volts. As you'll notice, the MPPT currents is slightly different. So it's to accommodate many more modules. You'll see we have a 42 amp and a 32 amp MPPT. So it gives a bit more flexibility for the modules we are using. So if we do have modules that exceed 16 amps, then on certain ones we can only use one string on that MPPT, but on the other MPPT we can use two strings. So it gives us the ability to do the full capacity of the inverter. So all the questions on this, this part's not too long, and we don't go through all the questions that you guys have asked. Then we're looking at the AC on-grid side, so the normal AC power, so just for grid load feeding. It is standard 380 to 400 volts with neutral and earth. And the frequency can be either 50 or 60 hertz in frequency. Then for the backup side, so for backup operation on our inverters, we do require the STS, which is an additional component. The STS is a smart transfer switch, which I'll show shortly. With that smart transfer switch, you can see the backup output can do a constant 55 kilowatts on our inverters, and we can do on the 50 kilowatt up to 75 kilowatts of load for 10 seconds. That's quite a massive overload capacity. So that's for startup on motors and things like that. So now looking at the smart transfer switch, the static transfer switch. So the benefit of this static transfer switch, especially for installations, is this can be up to 100 meters away from your inverter. So the smart transfer switch also has a 200 amp bypass current, so we can bypass current into loads. So your larger cables can be nearby your distribution board, so from the STS to the distribution board, and then 100 meters to your inverter. So your inverter will be where your batteries are, maybe closer to the PV array. And then all you run is one singular AC cable from the inverter to the STS, along with a communication cable. So with an example here is with the hybrid inverter, we have our PVs, our batteries, and we have backup loads and on-grid loads. So with the inverter, we also supply a smart meter for your metering on your meter side. However, our smart meter with this device does not come with CTs at all. You have to supply your own secondary AMP5 ratio CTs based on your customer's supply. Then we have other options, so on-grid or off-grid operations with big load generator. So on the STS, we do have a generator port that can either use for a diesel generator, or you can also set that to be used for a big load. Alternatively, the ET does have dry contact relays for load start and stop. So if we have larger loads, we can also put them on the backup side with an external contactor, just so that those loads don't exceed the inverter's capacity when the grid is off. So then we have that load contact relay to switch those loads in and out. So this gives you a lot of flexibility with the system, with both generator and on-grid loads. Then looking at the parallel of our inverters, so currently we have available the parallel with up to 4 inverters. So the only accessory you'll have to get here is an EasyLink 2000. The EasyLink 2000 will make one of the inverters the master, and then all the inverters connect to each other with a communication cable. Then we will also launch later on in the year, or perhaps around Q1 next year, we'll launch the parallel up to 10 inverters. We are still waiting for our ACC 3000, which hasn't been launched yet. It's still under development. But with the EasyLink and the 4 units, the changeover is seamless. So you have a seamless 10 millisecond changeover with 4 inverters in parallel. That means you can build up to a 200 kilowatt AC system for backup. Looking at our compatible batteries from GoodWe. So we have our Link C Indoor. So the Link C Indoor does go from a smaller capacity all the way up to 156, but we recommend for the 50 kilowatt from our 138 to 156 kilowatt hour battery. This is in order because these batteries are only 0.4C discharge to use the 138 as the minimum for the 50 kilowatt. We can also then parallel up to 3 batteries per inverter, so that can give you quite a large battery. So that's where we can have the 414 or 468 kilowatt hours. Then the Link C Outdoor, so it's a nice outdoor battery. It comes with an outdoor cabinet where the inverter can be installed in one section of the cabinet as well. You can also install the SDS in this cabinet, or alternatively, your SDS can be by a distribution board. These come in 100 kilowatt hour cabinets, so 0.5C discharge on these batteries, and you can have a maximum of 300 kilowatt hour batteries per inverter. That will give you your 300 kilowatt hours. So looking at the technical data sheet of the Link C, as I mentioned, we do have a 1-in-1 and a 120 kilowatt hour batteries, but because of the 0.4C discharge rating on the batteries, we recommend the Link C138 or the Link C156. That's just for the nominal power and the voltage and the discharge limits. I think we'll move now over to the Q&A section.
Thank you very much, David. We can ask Patrick to join us, so the 3 of us will be there to be able to address some of the questions that have been submitted. Hello again, Patrick. So yes, please feel free to use the Q&A option if you want us to be able to address your questions live. First question I have for you guys, maybe it's a step back because your presentation was very, very rich in terms of technical information. But if you'd allow me, could I please ask you to do a little review of the differences between a hybrid inverter, a DC coupled inverter, and an AC coupled inverter, just to make sure that people are all on the same basis of understanding here. Can you please explain what are the differences, and maybe also like what is best in which situation? Just quickly to make sure that we have a common understanding here.
Okay, David?
Yeah, sure. Well, no problem. I'll take it on. So AC coupled typically means all your components are connected via the AC lines. So you'll have an inverter or an MPPT that takes the DC, makes the DC into AC. So either a grid tie inverter or just the MPPT with the AC output, like a micro inverter. That will then inject all the DC power to AC and then to AC. And then you'll have another AC inverter that can use that power then to charge and discharge batteries. So that's what AC coupled means everything will be combined on the AC side of the inverters. The DC coupled system will also be similar. So you have an MPPT that takes the solar power, converts that to a voltage for the batteries, charges the batteries, and then you have another inverter that connects to the batteries as well, that then convert that to AC. So that's all DC coupled. When we're looking at full hybrid inverters, it means all those components are internal inside one device. So we essentially, our inverters internally are DC coupled inverters. So we've got our MPPTs, our batteries, all converting inside the inverter to one singular bus, and then that bus then outputs to AC. So all of your components is in one singular device. There's no separate components.
And we've got listeners literally from all over Africa joining us today. And we know that the electrical situation in different countries are different. Is there such a thing as a DC coupled is better in this case, and AC coupled is better in this case, hybrid is better in this case? Can you please explain maybe a little bit how people should guide and think about their technical options there?
Yeah, typically in bad grid conditions, a DC coupling or a hybrid system is better. because you avoid any external influence on your system. But looking at a standalone DC coupled versus a hybrid inverter, hybrid is always going to be better in sense of efficiencies, because you don't have long cables or connections from your batteries and your solar and additional points of failure. So all-in-one hybrid is always going to be much more efficient. So your efficiencies from your MPPT to your battery charging will be much higher in a combined system. But with bad grid conditions, AC coupled normally isn't the best way of doing it, because a lot of times you are then relying fully on the grid to first form the grid. Then typically these AC coupled solutions, when the grid goes down, either they go off or they need additional bypass cabinets or switching cabinets in order for them to operate in an off-grid scenario.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Maybe a question to you, because you've mentioned this a few times in your presentation, and I would love you to insist again on this particular point. The operating voltage range. Sometimes with some products, I think it went as wide as 60 to 550 volts. Can you please explain again how unique this is, and how important this is? Like, what is the impact really in terms of efficiency, in terms of higher yield, maybe from the entire system? What difference does this really make?
Yeah, so thank you, John, for this opportunity. So what you're referring to is the MPPT voltage range. So we have two conditions. We have a startup voltage and we have the operating voltage. So the startup voltage is what switches on the MPPT. So you will note that the ES unit has a startup voltage of 58 volts. Now 58 volts is almost like 1.5 panels, almost, let me say maximum 2 panels, and you'll be capable of doing starting up the inverter ready for generation. Now, if you cross over to 60 volts, if the 58 goes a notch higher to 60 volts, now immediately the MPPT starts generating, now starts converting the DC power to AC power. Now, you can see our operating voltage is as low as 60. So 60 with low irradiance in the morning, the inverter will start generating. And the MPPT is has high efficiency, 99.9% efficiency, with the conversion between DC to AC is around 97% efficiency. So the efficiency is quite high. So the minimum irradiance you get to get voltage as low as 60 volts is enough to start generation early morning, and the inverter will keep generating across throughout the day to late evening when the sun is almost setting. So also the low irradiance we have in the evening, as long as it's 60 volts and higher, the inverter will still be generating. So that's how efficient the inverter is to actually allow you to generate more and return more on your investment.
Okay, very good. I think this is clear. So wider range, better capturing of the energy which is being made available. We have a question from Bruce. It's true. It's a very specific question, but this was not necessarily mentioned. Are the products that you have presented today, are they already available? Like when, or are they about to become available? Are they available all over Africa in every market? What is the situation there?
Yeah, the products are available. We have the products available in the West Africa. We have products available in the East as well as the South part of Africa. So well across Africa, all these products have already been launched and are available for purchase.
And a additional question on the same topic from Henry. How do you normally work? Like, are these available directly through GoodWe? Do you work with distributors, exclusive distributors? And then the magic question all the time, what is the cost for the 5 kilowatt-hour battery?
Well, the cost will drive us to how we work. So we actually channel to distributors. We work with authorized distributors across Africa. So we have distributors on the east, central, south, and western part of Africa. So in case you are inquiring on the cost, then all you need to do is just mention the country you are situated in, then we'll channel you to the closest or the nearest distributor, and you'll be able to get the pricing on the particular product that you want to purchase.
Very well.
Yeah.
And in any case, just a reminder to everybody who's joined us today. After this conversation, all the details of Patrick and David will be shared with you. You will be able to get in touch directly, and then they will redirect you based on your location and based on your question to the local distributor near you. Next question from Khalid. What is the maximum and the minimum number of PV panels that we can connect to the ET50? And I think Khalid is specifically working with panels of 565 watts and 49 volts. How can he think about his installation based on this?
Yeah, so normally I always recommend using a PV design tool. In fact, GoodWe is actually quite recently, we will launch a nice design tool for customers to use for this. Because looking at voltage and wattage, you can do a rough calculation, but there's also temperature coefficients to take into account. So, I mean, you on the 50 kilowatts, you've got 4 MPPTs with 2 inputs per MPPT. So we'd have to look at the panel current. The current should be fine to use both inputs per MPPT, which means you can make an array up to 850 volts and times 8. So you can make a very large array, but you just have to do those calculations on temperature coefficients, especially if your area does get a bit colder, to make sure that your voltage does not exceed the inverter's voltage and cause damage.
Very well. And I think maybe this is an add-on question to what you've just explained. Somebody who did not share their name, but asking if next to spec sheets, you also have digital files like .ond or .batt files that you could share so that they can use this in PVsyst. Is this something you make available?
Yes, sure. They can contact Patrick. We do have all of the documents available, and we can share it with any of our customers to make designs. Not a problem.
Very well. Then the next question from Abdiaziz. What is the compatibility of GoodWe inverters with other batteries? And on the other hand, what is the compatibility of GoodWe batteries with other inverters?
Okay.
Who wants to take that one on? Patrick, yes.
Yeah. So GoodWe is compatible with a number of third-party batteries. Excluding the ES Unique, which was just recently launched, because well, after launching, you have to test all these third-party batteries, actually the particular compatibility for safety, warranty, and all that. So if you take the latest or the later versions of the GoodWe hybrid inverters, we are compatible with a number of third-party batteries. So we have BYD, LG, Pylon Tech, Alpha ESS, a number of numerous that we have an approved list which we will forward to you so you can know which particular battery brands are compatible to which particular inverter series. Now, in this sense, you will be updated progressively on which battery we are adding to the list. We also have compatibility for the local batteries. This is particular to the various market brands we have for flexibility. So yeah, GoodWe does have this option because our inverters use open protocol communication. Now, in terms of battery, GoodWe batteries being compatible with third-party inverters, this is not our strategy. Our battery uses a closed protocol. So in terms of compatibility, the GoodWe battery is not compatible with third-party inverters.
Very good. And follow-on question on this question from somebody listening on our LinkedIn stream. I hope I'm pronouncing the name right. Hautsiku. Hautsiku is asking about, it's more like a comparison with other brands. What happens to a GoodWe inverter if one of the input string experiences something like insulation issues? Does the whole inverter goes off, or does the inverter isolate that faulty string? I think this listener is asking specifically compared to another brand in the market where this feature may be available. How does your product react to this kind of situation?
So in terms of faults, we have integrated protection parameters, both on the DC side and AC side. Now he's mentioned insulation faults. So depends on the level of arcing that we have on the string, live cable generating, and there's faults. Two possibilities. If it's not high enough, the inverter will sense this fault and it will go to standby mode to allow you to do repairs, and it will constantly keep rechecking on the string condition to see if the fault is still reoccurring. If it's reoccurring, then the alarm sticks to give you a chance of switching off the DC switch and doing troubleshooting to get where the fault is. Now, if the fault is high enough, the arc is too high, then we have a surge protection on the DC side. So we have type 2 surge protection on the DC side to quench this arcing. So yeah, two kinds of protection level. We have software based to notify you on the existence of the alarm and indicate it. And if it's too much, the arcing is too much, then we have surge protection devices on the DC side to absorb this current to prevent the inverter from burning up on the motherboard level. So yeah, we do have protection levels.
Very good. And the next question, it's all over the place. I'm sorry, I'm not making any families of questions. I'm sharing the questions as they come in. We have the next two questions from Segun. Question number one, does the hybrid inverter have grid inputs? And question number two, does the inverter automatically switch on and off the generator depending on whenever it is required to do so?
Yeah,
Yes,
I think
I'll take it first.
yeah, David.
Yes, but all our inverters does have a grid port, so a grid connection. The low voltage has a separate connection for that. The ET50, if you use the STS has its own grid connection port. Alternatively, if you're using it just as a grid tie inverter, you connect it directly to the inverter. And then all of our inverters do have dry contact relays for generator stop switching. So based on various conditions which you can configure, so either battery SOC or timing or things like that, you can set it to start and stop the generator based on conditions.
Very well, and I think Hinde, I think this also answers your question. Next question from Travis. Can the end user change the charging and discharging schedule on economic mode? And how would they do that on the ET series?
Yes, so there is settings available for all users via the SEMS portal app on their mobile phones. So on the SEMS portal app on the mobile phone, one can change work mode settings and so forth. So even the end users can do it as well as installers.
Question from Enoch. What will happen if you do not connect the communication cables in case inverter and batteries are not compatible? I think first of all, this is not recommended. But what will happen if that happens?
Yeah, so the thing is, we have a compatible list with our inverters. Our inverter does have the ability to set them up with lead acid batteries. Normally with lead acid batteries, there isn't communication. So it may work if it's a non-compatible lithium battery and something goes wrong between the battery and inverter, we might not be able to honor the warranty for the battery side of the inverter. So it is very important to make sure it is a compatible battery, especially if it is lithium, so it can communicate. If it's lead acid, it doesn't have communication, but there is a sensor for temperature and things like that that needs to be installed with the lead acid batteries.
Question from Ronnie about about home systems and smart metering. Do the inverters have smart meter for home-based solar systems? There was a little bit of mention about smart meters in your presentation, but maybe this is an opportunity to explain again. Again, we have listeners from all over Africa, and smart meters are not necessarily present in all those countries. So maybe you can elaborate a bit more here.
Okay, I'll take that. So if we focus on the ES Unique, we have two options. In the inverter package, you will get a clamp CT. So you can directly connect this clamp CT, which is actually hooked on the incoming line of the grid, hook it there, directly connect it to the inverter, and the inverter will be capable of doing zero export limiting or net metering, whichever option you like to choose. Now, using the CT has a restriction. If the point you're mounting your CT, clamping your CT, and the position you're mounting your inverter is more than 25 meters, then it's not recommended that you do this kind of connection, because you are actually intending to extend the CT cable to achieve the longer distance. You extend the CT cable, you increase the burden on the CT, this leads to erratic measurements of readings on the grid income. So if the distance between the CT mounting position and the inverter mounting position is more than 25 meters, then you have an option of installing a smart meter. So the smart meter is installed at the grid incomer, CT clamped at the grid incomer, CT connected to the smart meter. Then the smart meter communicates to the inverter or communicates with the inverter via RS-485. Now, RS-485 communication means it's more robust. The distance can cover up to 800 meters. So this is the most secure way in case you want to do smart meter connections and with respect to CT connections. So ES Unique comes with the CT including the package. If your distance is longer, then purchase a smart meter separately, hook the CT to the smart meter, communicate between the smart meter with the inverter to achieve load monitoring and export limitation.
Wonderful, thank you. And maybe I'm looking at the time now. Maybe we can take two more questions. And don't worry if your question has not been answered yet. I mean, all the questions will be shared with our speakers. And if you have some additional questions, please feel free to send them through. Yes, question here. Another anonymous listener, but no problem. How do you limit exports for a home system with a hybrid inverter?
So it's, as
David,
Patrick just mentioned, we'll use the smart meter or the CT that's provided, and then on our mobile configuration app, we just enable the feature to limit export power.
Very simple. And then I see that Douglas also had a question about something that we slightly touched on at the very beginning of this discussion, but maybe it's helpful to remind. Like Douglas was having a question about a specific compatibility with a specific brand. How can people know, like, is there a compatibility list available somewhere and they can check like this, or they need to reach out to you every time and ask you, I have this type of battery, this type of inverter, can it be compatible? Like, what is the best way for people to find out about this compatibility?
Yes, on our website, if you go to GoodWe.com, there's a support section with downloads. In the download section for each device, you'll find a battery compatibility list, as well as the user manuals, etc. So all of it is available on our website for anyone to download.
That is very clear. And then I'm looking at the two last questions that just came in. Let's take those two. Does the ES Unique have the potential to accept load sharing solutions between solar PV, battery, and grid?
Yeah, so the inverter itself does smart load control. So it will always use both PV, grid, and battery simultaneously. So if the PV is enough to cover the load, it will then cover the load totally. Should the PV then be too low, after that it can discharge the battery as well while using PV to cover the surplus. And if you don't want to discharge your batteries and you set it to keep the batteries full, then it will use PV and the excess then will be taken from the grid.
Very well. And then the last question, maybe this is not really a question, but this is just a confirmation of what we mentioned earlier. Mike seems to be on the lookout for a specific 8 kilowatt unique product, but cannot find it with his regular distributor. So my advice is probably for you to get in touch directly with David and Patrick, and they will redirect you to whichever partner may be able to help you quickly. Very well, gentlemen. Thank you so much for your explanations, insights into these various products and what they are capable of. Thank you also to everybody who took the time today to join us. We had a lot of listeners today. Wonderful to see that. A lot of excitement about these products. So I'm going to wish you a wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you very much, John.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, John. Thank you, Althea. Thank you, everyone, for attendance. And yes, GoodWe, optional, the best solution for the hybrid system, residential and C&I.